All right. Well, welcome everyone for watching. Sorry for the bit of delay. We had some technical issues, but we are here with Anna. She just gave a talk to us. Um, can you close it down, please? Sorry about that. And we're just gonna go into a couple of questions. If you have some questions, you can either put them in the chat or you can also raise your hand so we can give you the word. You can say it with your own voice or you can type it, whatever you prefer. But Anna, thank you for the talk. I think it's very interesting to see what IKEA is doing to become more circular. You were saying like you're not like the expert on circularities per se, but you're saying you're a business-to-business sales manager, and you also mentioned that a lot of companies are coming to you asking more for sustainable products. Is that also the reason why IKEA started to take this more sustainable approach, or is it coming from a different?
No, but I also told a little bit, or quite some, that we need to change our business model, which is not done in a day, and it's not connected to business sales. It's really connected to the survival for IKEA as a company, but also to the planet, because we cannot just continue to consume and use materials. We need to take care and reuse our materials. So if we want to continue to be a healthy company and being able to make a better everyday life for the many people, we need to have a business model change to go to from mass consumption to mass circularity.
And to make this change, are you, because I mean IKEA, like you said, it's a global company, everyone knows it. Is this being done on a global scale, yes, as in it's being managed from above and it's going into, yes, everything? Or
yes,
is, yeah.
Yes. So what I told in the end of the presentation, so the People Planet Positive strategy is our sustainability strategy. And yeah, I think we started to work with sustainability strongly, maybe 15 years ago, and now we need to speed up, because now it's, as I told, it's quite ambitious compared to a lot of other companies, because I'm also out talking with a lot of companies in my role here to want to do this 2030. I think, for instance, the Netherlands as a country wants to get there in 2050.
Yeah.
But for us, that's too late, because we really need to move
right now.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And because I mean, this is you were talking a little bit before we started the presentation about the tricky questions that you get. I don't need a specific answer to this, but like, how do you guys take the juxtaposition into account that the most sustainable thing to do is just to not buy anything anymore? As a company, obviously, that's like a contradicting.
But then it's very easy to hand that back to you, because you are a consumer.
Definitely.
And I guess you want to continue, eat your food, buy your clothes, have a house, have things inside of your house. So I think we need to make you able to do more sustainable choices. I don't think anybody wants to go not sleeping on a mattress, not having a bed, not having a kitchen. So as told in the presentation, we have kitchen fronts that are now totally done in recycled plastics.
Yeah.
So, and we are still a retail company, but what I also as a private person working for it, I'm proud of, is that we are doing something to make a change and to be more responsible as a retail company, because we are a retail company and we are also happy to be a retail company. And of course, it can also be for us a competition benefit. As I told you, 77% of Dutch people, for example, are more aware about sustainability. So maybe they decide to go to IKEA for their plastic bags instead of going to Action.
Yeah.
So in the end, it can be also not only needed change for us to take care of the resource we have, but also to get more customers.
Yeah. Yeah, and that way you may, by becoming more sustainable as a company, you just make it more accessible in the long run, and hopefully that will also create that shift in mindset. If people are saying like, oh, if IKEA can do this, then why cannot like any other big companies do this? Like, how can it be so difficult?
We're also doing something quite interesting for Black Friday, because as you know, a lot of companies and also IKEA did crazy Black Friday offers. commercial offers.
Yeah.
We're actually going to do it totally different. Globally, we will have Black Friday in IKEA, but it will be, we will buy back your furniture.
Oh, nice.
So we are going to do a really circular Black Friday, so you can come back with your Malmökast or your Marcus share. Or you can do that also normally, but we're going to have a big campaign on how you can, IKEA will buy back your old furniture.
Yeah, I was wondering about that because you were saying like, I mean, you're working making all these products more circular, but there you didn't mention specifically like a take back program as in like reusing like old materials. And what you were saying, there's so many people on Marktplaats already that are putting their old cabinets or like their billies on the internet just to buy it and give it a second life instead of throwing it away, which is already great. But especially IKEA, what you're saying, like if the products are so reusable, it's so good that you take it back in and
we're going to now we are part of reuse, we will resell them.
Resell them.
We will sell them at the bargain corner.
Okay.
So it's also to make more people have the access to furniture because it will be cheaper than buying it in the store.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, there's plenty of people that have like a perfectly fine cabinet. It's just that there's no plastic around it anymore that makes them
or they want to change because we are still humans, and I think still humanity wants to go forward. So
like but also you were saying that the mattress program that you're doing with the taking them back and recycling them, are you seeing IKEA do something like that in the future also in-house, like having that type of program in-house, or will you also always look for partners to do these types of things?
But you know, I think we should work more together. So I don't know actually. I cannot tell you if we are. Of course, we are doing normal things in-house with all the material that we use and reuse in the store. For instance, we have a repacking machine in all the stores, so we can repack what you said. If you bring back something that you open the box, we'll repack it and we will sell it. We have a big box in the store where we put the wood that people can come and pick up for free if they need to work with wood. So a lot of students at the Design Academy come and pick up wood at our places. And of course, we are recycling paper, not waste. We have in Eindhoven, we're a good example for waste reduction. So all stores has a goal, or had a goal for last year, to have reduced their own food waste with 50%. And no organic waste can go into normal waste. So there's a lot of things going on. We have solar panels on the roof of the Eindhoven store and most of the stores in the world. So we are independent on our energy sources.
Yeah, that's also one of the things I was wondering, because I mean, it's one thing to create products that are more sustainable, but also like as IKEA as a business, like obviously there's also other things that could perhaps be more sustainable in a way besides, for example, the packaging. Do you have other examples of that, of how you try to?
Yeah, there's so many things to tell about, but for example, we're selling solar panels in IKEA, and actually the Eindhoven store is the best-selling solar panel store in the world.
Really?
Yeah. So
you reckon that's because Eindhoven is more of like I mean, it's with Brainport including and all of the technical development.
And Philips maybe, because people have a mindset towards new technologies. Yes. So that's also, but it's also how you do it in the store, because that's also how me or my colleagues can make an impact, because we do workshops in our store with some people that really believe in that we can change something as persons, impacting on my life or your life. So that's also why it's nice to work for IKEA, that you can really make a difference being you.
I have a comment from Ernst saying, I found it interesting that you started to talk about meatballs. Is IKEA really a retail company only? When I lived abroad, IKEA was an important place for Europeans to meet. Are there plans to extend that further?
Now it's what I wanted to do, but now it's on hold due to COVID. So I wanted to have like breakfast meetings for my business to business customers, to tell them different stories about what IKEA is actually doing. And I was also thinking about having the possibility to have expat meetings in the store. And I also trying to promote to get expat wives to get a part-time work in IKEA, because that's also often a tricky part when you move to another country. Then your spouse are not having a job, and actually there could be a lot of interesting works. for IKEA, in IKEA for expats.
Yeah.
So we are on a
and I think
kind of plans, but now we need to park a lot of plans, and that's how it is.
Yeah. Do you have because you're saying like you're looking into ways of making a more meeting space. Sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second. What I specifically was thinking about was like a meeting with designers and stuff like this. This is a different type of meeting, obviously, but because we have the design academy here in Eindhoven, and we're in the Dutch Design Week, and it's a very different situation now because of COVID. Do you have specific ways of how you interact with the designers here in Eindhoven, for example?
No, because that's no, yes and no. And IKEA is a global company, and each store is a retail unit. So we are selling the furniture and the designs that are developed by IKEA of Sweden, in Sweden, with design teams. Nevertheless, we had, for example, a collaboration with Pete Hanik some years ago. And that's also what's going on. We are having now, I told you before, we're going to have a candle collection with Biredo, the perfumer. We are having, we had I don't remember the name of the designer, Sammankopla. It's a Korean team that made a special urban living collection. So we are working with designers, but that's mainly what we are doing until now in Sweden. But as I told you about the IDID collection, that's actually with the social entrepreneur. In this case, we collaborated with IKEA Global and the designers we have. But I think the future can also be that we can do smaller collections connected to local situation. But of course, when you produce an article of IKEA, you need to calculate that you sell a lot. So it's and the production also needs to be taking care of all the 9 circular principles. And the product development in IKEA is really long, because it normally takes us minimum 5 years before a product can go on the market, because there's a lot of washes, we call it, that it needs to go through to fulfill the standards of IKEA. And that's not only about how it looks, it's how it's packed, it's how it's distributed, what materials it's done with, that the labor, the people working with are paid properly. There's a lot of things to take in consideration to do a new product in IKEA.
I can imagine. Well, there's also, I wanted to point out, because you still had your...
I forgot to tell a story. This is connected to the design principles. And I don't know if you know this beautiful design water can. Price is 149. Shape is quite interesting. I think it was done already in 2004. It's an IKEA PS water can. IKEA PS is normally a limited collection that we
very good, Ernst.
that we do have kind of on top of our normal collections. And it's of course then done by recycled plastic. Then of course you have been watering your plants with it, but then connected also to the democratic design. We really think about function in IKEA. So yes, normal plants, but then it has a little trick. And I think you didn't use that, because you can also water this way if you have a small plant or you have a cactus. And most people don't know. And if you look into a lot of our products, they have these kind of extra functions or extra things that we are not so good on telling the story about, actually, because also we are selling so many products, so it's difficult to tell all the stories about all the products. But that's also really how IKEA takes on the democratic design principles, and now on top the 9 sustainable ones. So 149, perfect.
There you go. Ernst asks us another question. He's saying, in Vienna, IKEA is building a store in the city that seems to be radically different from the IKEA stores that I'm familiar with. Are there any similar plans for the Netherlands? In other words, are you delivering by bike in the Netherlands already?
We are.
Yeah,
and we are also in some market, we're going to do only electrical deliveries. That's also part of sustainability. So that's going to start, I don't know exactly when, in Amsterdam, all deliveries by electrical transporters.
Yeah.
And then city stores, it's a new concept, because also we know that a lot of people are moving into big cities. And it's not always so easy to reach IKEA. A lot of people do not have a car. So there are already city stores. It's in Madrid, and there is a bedroom special focus shop. There is one in Stockholm. There is one in Roma, and one in Paris, Rue Saint-Honoré. And so we are developing and checking. I don't remember in all the cities because it's getting there in most of IKEA markets. And I guess we might have one in Amsterdam, but in Holland it makes a little bit less sense because all stores, we are a lot of stores, I think we are 12 in total in a rather small country. So almost any person that lives in the Netherlands can reach a store within half an hour. So it might be that we're going to do this setup in Amsterdam. In Vienna, we also have one. And we also have new things tried out in Vienna. I went there 2 years ago because it's also about being able to do the click and collect from boxes that you buy, and you just go at any time of the 24 hours and pick your stuff up in a box.
There's a saying, build a store on a boat or ship.
Yeah, maybe. It would be lovely. I could be the store manager of that one.
Live on a ship all the time. I don't know about that, but maybe it's good for self-isolation at least. About that, obviously we're living in a really weird world right now where everything's upside down with the whole COVID-19. I don't know if you know if you can say anything about this, but can you tell a little bit about how COVID either influenced these plans to become more sustainable or how it created other possibilities? Do you know a little bit about this? And
yeah, it will not impact on what we have decided of being circular 2030 because we need to be that.
Yeah.
So it's not.
If anything, it might even
make
it more.
Yeah, more urgent.
Yeah.
But you know, we are already having in our global business plan this year to really show more and tell better the stories about sustainability in the stores. So it's kind of course, we are retail, so we have sales goals, but we really have sustainability goals.
Yeah.
And that has not been that strong as it is now, but it was already in place before COVID. And then actually for us, it's kind of an opportunity because people really realize now how important it is to have a nice home, functional home, practical home, beautiful home. A lot of people need to do work from home. So actually we are selling a lot more desks and chairs than we used to. And of course, it's also impacting on our business because quite some industries have been suffering from close downs.
Yeah.
So it's a tricky moment for our supply chains. It has been a tricky moment, and it is in some places in the world to do transports in a proper way to help and give people better services.
Yeah.
But I think for me, people are just learning more how important it is to take our climate changes seriously.
I have one last question for you. I don't know if there's any other questions from our audience. If so, then put them in the chat, and I will get to them after this. There is, I don't know if you're aware of this. I'm assuming that you are. I'm a big Pinterest fan. There's a lot of hacks on there for IKEA furniture. I can imagine that can also really come into play when you're looking into circularity. Have you at IKEA looked into this, and how can you elaborate a little bit on it?
Yeah, I know, because we have customers all the time coming with Pinterest, and it's super used globally. So I'm not into what we are doing with it to develop more products, but as we are a global big company with a lot of people knowing a lot of things, I think, of course, we are looking into also Pinterest.
Yeah. Oh, not specifically Pinterest, more on the hacks that people post on Pinterest. So there's a lot of these hacks of IKEA furniture that are really repurposing the.
Yeah, but we also have been using that, and I think I'm somewhat what the question is, because we have also been doing that in the stores. We have inviting people to do IKEA's hacks in the stores to show it off. So we have turned it the other way around. Yeah. And that I used to work also in Norway and Sweden, and then we have done like shows, a little bit like not really Dutch Design Week, but We have had we actually had
That's a
a
collective.
similar thing going on in Helmand here at the Cacao Fabrik. They also showed up for IKEA hacks. So we are, yeah, that's nice, but that really means that we have product that people can do nice things with.
Yeah, definitely. I think, and they're so versatile because everything fits together, and it's really, yeah, there's a lot of options in that way. So that's really good. I don't think there's any more questions for now. Is there anything else that you want to share with our audience online?
No, happy to be here. Thank you very much.
Great.
And let's make the world a better place.
Great.
Take care of the climate.
Well, thank you for
Thank you.
the Q&A.